Welcome back. You're still watching Kenya's Choice on 8th of August 2022, just about 21 hours before polls open across the country. Some 46,000 polling stations within the country and others in some 12 countries where the diaspora voting will be happening. And it's time now to speak to Crispin Otieno from Kisii County. Good morning, Crispin. And what can you tell us about the preparedness in Kisii County and if there are any concerns, especially for different political parties and the candidates?
A very good morning, Sam. It is time for the rubber to meet the road here in Kisii. It is all systems go according to the IEBC officials. We are expecting a total number of 637,010 eligible voters to turn up in large numbers tomorrow. That number spreads across 1,300 polling stations across the county, and out of those polling stations, 2 shall be at Kisii main prisons. And according to the county returning officer, Michael Kosgei, who spoke to us earlier on, he said that already security apparatus have been put in place, and this time around they're even going to incorporate civilian police officers to ensure that the process is seamless, and also to ensure that it is they maintain the integrity of the whole process. Earlier on, we also we managed to talk to the official IEBC official, and he had this to tell us with regard to the preparation of election in the entire Kisii County.
Katika maeneo yote 9 ya bunge kaunti ya Kisii, tumetayarisha vilivyo na tumewafundisha maafisa wetu ambao watatufanyia kazi katika vituo hivyo vyote. Kwa jumla tuko na vituo 1,300. Kati ya hizo 2 zitakuwa kwenye gereza la Kisii. Kwa hivyo tunaomba mjitokeze kwa wingi na tuhakikishe kwamba tumedumisha amani ili kila mtu apate nafasi ya kushiriki katika zoezi hili muhimu la kuendeleza demokrasia katika nchi yetu ya Kenya.
Well, that's Michael Kosgei. In South Bugirango yesterday there was a bit of contestation in one of the polling centers where one of the ballot pellets were found partially destroyed. However, after the IEBC official from that area managed to to just verify what could have possibly transpired, and it was realized that nothing much, and all the ballot boxes were intact, and that's how the issue was solved in collaboration with officers and also agents representing various political parties. Remember, in Kisii County, one of the hotly contested seats is the gubernatorial race, where we have a total number of 7 candidates who are going to square it out at the ballot. That includes ODM's Simba Arati, UDA's Ezekiel Machogu, Jubilee's Chris Obure, Kenya National Congress, that is Sam Oyongo, as well as Nchiri Ratemo from Usawa Party, and also we have Reverend Josiah Biogo, who is an independent candidate. They are all trying, they will put their best foot forward to ensure that they rally their support bases come tomorrow, to ensure that they turn out in large numbers and cast their ballot. Later on, we'll also be traversing the entire county just to ensure that, just to monitor the process, how it is like, and we will also move to the neighboring county, that is Nyamira County, where we are also expecting to have a brief from the county official as well as the IEBC chiefs with regards to the preparation on how the polls the preparation of polls in Nyamira County. It's a matter we are still following up on, and we'll ensure that we bring up to speed our viewers on what is happening in the entire Gusii region as far as the 2022 general election is concerned. Sam.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Crispin Otieno from Kisii County. And of course, they're talking about a very important question that is on the safety of the poll materials. Of course, he talks about one of the ballot pallets for the governorship seat had some challenges, but the agents were called to just verify that everything is in order, and that was resolved. So not so much to make noise about. But I'm still in studio with them, my panelist, Commissioner Irene Masit from IBC. There's some pending questions, especially if we may start with the Homa Bay question, that 4 officials were arrested in such a situation that they were. Is this information that IBC has, and how are you dealing with it? And have we seen more, and especially in recruiting these presiding officers, because they're not permanent officials of the IEBC? What is the due diligence to ensure that there's nobody getting compromised?
Thank you very much again, Sam. I want to say that these are officers. IEBC is aware of that incident, and these are officers who are already trained, and they were to perform the work. But in training them, we ensure that they took the oath of secrecy, and also they took they signed the Electoral Code of Conduct, which they are bound by. IEBC has handed over to ODPP, Office of the ODPP, to carry out investigations, and whatever outcome, in case whatever they did was against the Electoral Code of Conduct, they'll face the full force of the law. So that is ongoing. And I want to say that IEBC deals with only election offenses until tomorrow midnight. From there on, we don't deal with them. So it's within the time frame, but now this one cannot come through Electoral Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee. Remember, it was suspended. So this one will be taken up by the Director of Public Prosecution.
Okay.
Immediately, and they'll be prosecuted. You asked about the spoiled paper. That should one go to vote and the paper they've done is spoiled, what happens? I want to say first, as I told you, we have 700 per polling station, but we printed the exact names of those people to vote. From experience, there is normally no 100% turnout in each and every polling station. Let's put it maybe 80%. So when a voter goes in to vote, one, the clerks tell them, as they issue them with those ballots, they show them where to mark. And we've also done education to say that you mark inside the box of the candidate you want. You can put an X, you can put a tick, or even put a dot. And there is a queuing clerk outside with a poster put outside the polling station showing how to vote and to mark. So as the voter goes in, they are aware. But there are those who are assisted, those who have not, who have not read well, those who cannot see, those who are old. We have somebody to assist such candidates on how to vote to minimize spoiling of the paper. But if in the event there is one spoiled, one is given up to 2 ballot papers. 2?
2 extra or inclusive of the first one?
Inclusive of the first one.
So maximum of 2?
Maximum of 2. Because so that's why we have done a lot of training, we've done a lot of voter education so that people know how to mark. And there was an issue which was raised. Why are we making everybody to tally? And if somebody announces the results, it might bring chaos. I want to say that is an election offense, actually, to announce the results. Results can only be valid if you are announced by a gazetted official and issued with a certificate to that effect. So even if anyone was even to say this or this without even, announcing without anything, what are you giving that person you're announcing as having won, in quotes? There has to be a certificate, official certificate, which is one of the statutory forms, which only it's available to IEBC. And I want to say that these elaborate processes were done based on post-election evaluation, which was done. Remember, we had post-election evaluation before we joined the commission, which was done by the current commissioners. And even they came up with election operations plan, which all of us, we've looked into it and revised. So we are working with those timelines. And even that post-election report has informed all these reforms which we've done. And we've done public participation through Parliament in all these reforms. So even that announcing it's something which has been agreed by all parties to ensure there's no anxiety as Kenyans wait for elections, yes.
Okay, so announce, declare, how about broadcast? Because As media houses receive the results, and I'll be showing you some portal there, as media houses receive the results and they're doing the tabulation, what are they supposed to do with them?
As we say, that is still professional. You can mention that it is not wrong to say in this station so-and-so is leading. It's perfect well, because you've not announced. You've just said.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the problem is announcing and saying that...
and declaring.
Bobby Mkangi has
that is
won
where
the election.
Problem is.
Okay, okay.
Having like CNN calling it inside.
Yeah.
We call this election so-and-so.
We can't call it. Okay, all right. So Bobby, talk to me about the responsibilities that citizens of this country have, both the voter, political parties as citizens, as corporate citizens, but also the politicians and the candidates themselves going through the next few days.
Quite heavy, and I keep going back to the, history is our teacher. So we have to be good students. We have not had the best history coming out of our experience with elections, which is a pity, because when you think about elections, this is a process that is supposed to bring out the best in us as a people, the best, we are trying to identify those we are going to delegate some of our rights, some of our interests, so that they can be optimally taken care of. And that's why it's a competition that is meant to bring out the best that we as Kenyans can choose and say that I entrust my rights, my interests, those of my children, those of the future generations of this country, in this lady or in this gentleman. And for that matter, you can only do that for somebody who is, better or best compared to yourself. And so that's the one thing I think Kenyans should be alive to, that when you go to vote for a certain candidate, you must examine the ability, the capacity of that candidate to be able to do what you ought to be doing for yourself, the betterment of your life, your well-being. But this person is going to be making decisions within the political framework in ensuring the same. So if you vote for somebody who you personally do not feel, or you're not confident that this person is actually better than yourself, if not at your level, in ensuring that he or she can take care of what are your interests, then you'll be letting yourself down. So that's the first thing, and I hope the time we've had, we say in Kenya, yes, we've had a campaign period official, for almost 2 months, but in Kenya, I saw somebody tweet the other day that the first political campaign will start on the 16th,
of August.
So we always have a 5-year period of campaigning, and by tomorrow morning, I think Kenyans will have had good information, will have interacted with candidates, listened to their manifestos, listened and questioned them around how they will deliver their plans, and should be able to make informed choices, similar to political parties and candidates, as you said. I think the message that we have to, and environment that we have to operate with between now and the finalization of the election, that is the declaration of results and installation of the different people who will have won in all positions, is to ensure that we stand by what we committed ourselves to in the Constitution, that we are going to have free, fair, and credible elections. And I think if we commit ourselves to those three adjectives, then this other issue that we always talk about, and as I was saying earlier, because of our history in terms of having peaceful elections, I think that will be a byproduct, that if IBC is committed itself to ensuring, and we've had the plans, we've had the measures it has taken in ensuring that it delivers a free, fair, and credible elections, and Kenyans support in that sense, political parties and candidates and all other political players ensure that these are the targets that we are working to deliver, then peace, ability to be able to vote and go back to our livelihoods, our work, will be centered around how we manage these three issues.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Marcus, I'll get to you on the responsibility of election observers and how you're executing that. But first, let's cross over to Garissa County, where Faisal Abdurrahman is standing by for us. Faisal, good morning. 21 hours to go. You're in a county that has more than 201,000 registered voters. How prepared are they from their side, but also from the side of the election managers, IEBC?
Shukran sana Sam, ulivyosema tu hayawi huwa imebaki tu masaa machache kwa zaidi ya wapiga kura 200,000 katika kaunti ya Garissa kuamka asubuhi saa 12 thenashara kesho asubuhi ili kuamkia zaidi ya vituo 500 kupiga kura na kuchagua ni nani atakayewakilisha wao katika eneo bunge, madiwani, gavana na hata kiti ya urais katika nchi ya Kenya. Katika tume ya uchaguzi wameweza kuzungumza. Jana kulikuwa na kikao ya vyombo vya usalama pamoja na tume ya IEBC. Unavyojua tu kaunti hii inampakana na nchi jirani ya Somalia, na hali ya usalama yamekuwa tete zaidi kwa muda ya miaka 10 sasa iliyopita, na wanasema kuwa wataweza kutumia katika vituo ambavyo viko karibu katika mipakani, waweza kutumia ndege aina ya helikopta ili kusafirisha vitu vya kutumiwa katika vituo eneo hilo. Nitaweza kuzungumza tu na msimamizi wa uchaguzi kaunti ya Garissa aweze kutueleza tu maandalizi na hali ilivyo katika kaunti hii ya Garissa, na tunaelewa kuna vituo vingi ambavyo viko katika mipakani ya nchi jirani ya Somalia. Jinsi mlivyojiandaa na hali ilivyo katika kaunti ya Garissa.
Asante sana Citizen. Mimi naitwa Abdulwahid Hussein, ni mshirikishi wa uchaguzi katika gatuzi la Garissa. Nataka niwahakikishie Wakenya wote na wanagarissa kwamba sisi tumejiandaa vilivyo kwa hii uchaguzi ambao itafanyika kesho tarehe 9. Vituo vote kwa majaliwa ya Mwenyezi Mungu tutafungua ikifika saa 12 asubuhi, na tunawahimiza na tutafunga ikifika saa 11 jioni. Kwa hivyo vituo ambavyo tuko nao hapa Garissa ni vituo 559 ambazo zimewekwa katika eneo bunge 6 na katika wodi 30 katika hii county. So kesho tunatarajia kwamba Wakenya wote ambao ni wapiga kura katika hii gatuzi ya Garissa wataweza kujitokeza na kupiga kura yao, na watapiga kura ya amani, na baada ya kupiga kura kila mtu ataenda nyumbani aongoje majibu na tutapata majibu ya haki. Katika kujitayarisha, tumeweza kujitayarisha hata katika upande wa usalama. Tumeweza kukuwa na vikao vingi zaidi na washikadau tofauti pamoja na washikadau wa hizi security agencies, wale ambao wanahusika na mambo ya usalama. Vile vyombo vya usalama tumeweza kushirikiana nao kwa ukaribu sana, na hata leo bado tunazidi kushirikiana, na hata kesho bado tuko pamoja. So, na tumepata hakikisho kwamba hata katika zile eneo ambazo ziko mipakani kuna mikakati kabambe ya kuhakikisha kwamba kura zitafanyika na zitafanyika kwa amani. Ndio.
Labda wale ambao watafanya katika vituo hivyo pamoja na vile vyombo ambao vitatumika vitapelekwa na nini pale?
Sasa tutatumia njia tofauti ikiwemo sasa tayari tuko na ndege kwa zile areas ambazo ziko accessible. Tumeweza kupata mahelikopta ya kufanya hiyo kazi. Pia tutaweza kutumia, pia tumeprocure magari ya kutosha ya kuweza kupeleka vifaa na watu katika hizo vituo, na kulingana na vile hali ya hewa itakavyokuwa, kama kutakuwa na mvua ama vitu kama hivyo, tutaweza kudeploy air transport kuweza kupeleka hata kama ni mandege, ili hizo kazi ziweze kufanyika kwa wakati ambao unafaa. Ndio.
Asante sana. Huyo tu alikuwa ni mshirikishi na msimamizi wa uchaguzi kaunti ya Garissa. Tutaweza kuzungumza na tutaweza kupiga kambi. Hapo tulipo ni shule ya Garissa University, na hapo ndio itakuwa nyuma yangu itakuwa ni mahala ambapo kura zitajumuishwa na kuhesabiwa, na tutaweza kuzungumza na baadhi ya washikadau tofauti wakuu wa usalama kuhakikisha kuwa wamejiandaa vilivyo kwa uchaguzi utakaoandaliwa kesho. Wanasema nia zikiwa pamoja, kilicho mbali huja. Ni kuhakikisha kuwa tu uchaguzi hii kufanyika kwa amani, na sisi kama wanahabari tumekita kambi sehemu tofauti humu nchini katika kaunti zote, ili tu kuwajuza watazamaji wetu hali ilivyo katika kaunti hii ya Garissa pamoja na kaunti jirani ya Wajir na hata kaunti ya Mandera, na tutakuwa gangari na walivyosema sisi tupo site. Sam.
Asante sana Faisal Abdirahman. Bila shaka tuko site na hapa studioni tuko studio ama pia tuko site. Should I continue in Swahili or now before I get to you, Balozi, let me hear from Marcus here. So election observation group, and I mean it's several organizations that have come together. How are you planning to execute your assignment? And I remember in 2017, just before the declaration of the presidential election results, several observers had given the election a thumbs up, including some international observers. There are some that withheld their report. Then after the nullification of the exercise, then people said, it appears that the observers were not really independent. There's another final report that came from one of the observers and said that the election process was smooth, but they could not commit themselves to the process of tallying and declaration of results. So how have you planned yourselves this time round for this duty to the country?
All right, so what we've done as ELOG, I'll speak for ELOG, of course, for this election for tomorrow, ELOG will deploy 5,108 stationary observers. So out of the 46,000 polling stations, we'll only be able to deploy 5,108 observers because of resources. And so our observers will be required to, I mean, they have been properly trained and accredited by the Commission. They'll be required to report on a number of areas in terms of the setup of a polling station, in terms of the opening process, during the opening of a polling station. They'll be able to report on the voting process from 6 a.m. all the way to 5 p.m. or at a time when it closes. They'll also be able to speak to the closing and counting of votes, and finally be able to report on the results. So those are the parameters under which our observers will be speaking to. But essentially, our observers have been trained to report on the quality of the election day process as well as the accuracy of the results. The second thing that in terms of what happened in 2017, for example, at no point did ELOG endorse the election results at that time, because you see, election is a cycle. ELOG is able to speak to the pre-election process, and today at 11 a.m. we shall be addressing the public on our consolidated findings on how the pre-election environment has been like. Because again, you cannot treat tomorrow's events and results in isolation of the entire electoral process. So that would be very absurd. We will be able to, for our observers, as we said earlier on, the problem has been that the voting process has largely been okay. There's calm, everything appears to be okay. The problem has been the issue of results and how that is managed. And that's why, as ELOG, we have, and of course, even incidences around it. So as ELOG, what we have put in place is that we shall also have our own independent tallying of results through the PAT. That is number one. Number two, we have also asked all our observers to collect the images of the Forms 34As, and they'll be sent to our own portal for our own independent verification of those results. And thirdly, together with other organizations, we have also put in place an election situation room that then will be able to collect a number of incidences, speak to them, and also to be able to champion a rapid response in terms of those incidents that are coming from the field and how those will be will be managed, because one of the allegations has been that observers wait until elections are over is when they speak. So through this situation room, we can be able to handle, be able to identify, verify, and escalate issues that would require various actors to speak to. So essentially, that's what we have put in place.
Okay.
And we are also governed by our MOU with IEBC that allows ELOG only to speak to the results projection after the IBC shall have declared the winner. So we cannot speak to the results until that is done.
Okay, and so as you observe the results processing, I would imagine that you'll deploy to all the 290 constituencies,
yes.
all the 47
county
tallying centers?
We will have, to speak to, we've just sampled, it's a scientific...
Oh, you don't go to all the 290?
Yeah, so it's a sample-based methodology. Just like, when you want to go and test malaria, just get a bit of your blood, and then you have... So it's a random sample of the 46,000 polling stations. They have given us a representative sample.
Okay.
So when ELOG, so with that, and of course taking into account the margin of error, ELOG can be able to speak to the results.
Okay.
So by ELOG, of course, by 9th morning, we should be able to have some ideas.
That is interesting.
10th.
By 10th
in the morning. So also, but yours, I'm losing the question, but yours is, main focus is on the processes within, whether it's polling, counting, tallying centers, not necessarily what happens outside there, if there are chaos and what have you.
No, we
how do you capture
As I said, we also have, we're having what happens in the polling station in terms of the process and results, but also what happens around the polling station in terms of incidences.
Okay.
So they can happen in the polling station, but also they can also happen outside the polling station.
Okay.
So in addition to the stationary observers, the 5,108 observers will be stationed from opening to the closing. We shall also have a roving team that walks from one point to the next, just seeing how things are going, able to pick up the roving observers. They can be able to pick up incidences, then report to the ELOG data center and the situation room for rapid response.
Okay. Ambassador, there's something you wanted to talk about, but also what will you be doing in this election?
I'll be a roving observer.
And voting.
I'll be, of course, I'll be a voter. But,
where do you vote?
I will get up very early in the morning. I vote in Kitui. So I'm actually going to Kitui immediately after this show.
Yes.
And we have some, thanks to ELOG, we have a number of roving observers also that I am meeting with. Okay. And we will be trying to move around constituencies and also the county, if we are within a particular county, if as much as possible, focusing on those issues you are saying, what is happening within the polling areas or the polling stations and outside, including near some of the towns. Because we have seen from experience before that voters congregate in small crowds, in little town centers, some waiting to be persuaded to go to vote, others waiting to be thanked for voting, and others just waiting because it's a holiday and therefore people are not going back to work or anything. And therefore just ensuring that as they meet, they do so in peace. And also, of course, there was an issue of whether bars should be open or closed. And those are important things to look at, to just make sure that there is no things that might cause or accelerate anxiety as people are waiting. I wanted to answer your question on spoiled ballots.
Okay.
You remember you asked, I think it was a viewer, a voter asked about the cases of increasing numbers of spoiled ballots and how many times you can get a replacement. I would like to say that spoiled ballots in most genuine cases is a manifestation of inadequate or lack of voter education. But I'm happy to say that outside, even though it is on the day of election, there will be outside some demonstration on how, as the commissioner said, how you should mark the ballot. However, I don't remember if there is a limitation of the number of ballot papers you can get replaced, but I know from experience that if you spoil your ballot, you can get a replacement from the officials there, and then they take the one that you have spoiled and it's put aside and so on and so forth. But maybe once or twice, but I think it is once, as you say. And in many cases, in my own experience, nobody spoils more than once. So I think it's once. But anyway, that is a question I wanted to answer. And just to say something about use of technology. From experience from other countries, even in Europe, and in North America, I've seen through observation, use of technology is a very sensitive and limited area. And sometimes if you have a problem of trust deficit, you don't use a lot of technology in many of the processes because you want to keep the use of technology as transparent as possible. Like now in Kenya, for example, use of technology is limited in three ways. We use biometric for registration of voters. We use technology to identify voters at the polling station, and we use technology in transmission of results. Only in those three legally sanctioned areas. And the reason is for the same, what I was explaining, because of this trust deficit and lack of transparency. And that's why a lot of election observers will speak with authority about the polling process and about the counting, the manual counting at the polling station, but cannot speak with absolute authority about the transmission because it's electronic and therefore it's not very easily verifiable, even though we are trying to have, on the other end, the best ways to verify the use of technology.
Okay, I'll come back to Commissioner Masitia and Bobby, and I'll want us to speak about how to secure the secrecy of the ballot at a time that we've heard of some stories about voter treating and how they have to show evidence for that to happen. But first, let's speak to Marianne Nyambura. Marianne, good morning. She's coming live to us from Nakuru County. How is it there? 1.05 million registered voters. The stakes are obviously high when you look at the political scene, but how prepared are the citizens and the election managers?
Right, Sam, it's all systems go here in Nakuru County. As you rightly put, is that 1,054,000 registered voters in Nakuru County out of the 22 million registered voters across the country, distributed across 2,055 polling stations across the 11 constituencies of Nakuru West, Nakuru East, Subukia, Njoro, Naivasha, across all the 11 constituencies. But here we are at the Kenya Industrial Training Institute, known as Kitty, which is the constituency tallying center, Nakuru East Constituency Tallying Center. And I'll be speaking to the returning officer regarding the distribution, which has not yet, of course, begun, which will happen in the course of the day across all polling stations. Perhaps I just start with you, Peter Kuria. Maybe you just tell us how prepared are you in terms of Nakuru East constituency, in terms of the election, given that it's less than 24 hours to the D-Day?
So my name is Peter Dirango Kuria. I'm the returning officer Nakuru Town East, and we have done all the preparation for the elections. All the materials are here with us, the ballot papers, everything that we need to conduct the election. All the logistics have been planned and they're in place. So by 5, we want to start releasing our polling officials to the polling station to do their job. And they are ready. The security machinery is in place. We are well prepared in terms of we have no challenges that can stop us from going on forward. Yes. 206
polling stations in Nakuru Town East and 125,000 registered voters. Perhaps what should they expect Nakuru Town East, those who've registered here in Nakuru Town East, what should they expect tomorrow?
all registered voters in Nakuru Town East should be able to come out and register very early in the morning. Their registers are ready. They will be identified using our KIMS kit, the computer system that we use to identify voters. And therefore, what they should expect is that in every polling station, there will be poll officials ready to admit them and to allow them to vote. Yes.
Expectations, what should they come with in terms of, so that they can be able to exercise their democratic rights?
Okay. We would like to ask kindly all voters in Nakuru Town East, and indeed the entire country, that while they are at the polling station, will be required to produce your national ID or the document used to register with. Yeah, some of us registered with the national ID, others registered with passports. We expect you to come with that document that you used to register. If you use the passport, you come with the passport. If you use the national ID card, you come with your national ID card, original, not a photocopy, not a police abstract. Yes.
Thank you very much. Well, indeed, Sam, that is the situation here in Nakuru Town East constituency, one of the 11 constituencies here. And as you can see, at this particular tallying center, the Kenya Industrial Training Institute, the distribution of these polling materials or election materials is expected to take place in the course of the day. And we will be here just to give more details into what exactly will transpire, given that mobilization by politicians is already done 2 days ago. And so all eyes are fixed on the IEBC as well as the registered voters across Nakuru County to exercise their democratic right come tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Maria Nyambura, coming from county number 32 with 1.05 million registered voters across 11 constituencies. And let's now cross over to county number 19, that is Nyeri County, that has a voter population of about 481,000 registered voters, and of course some 6 constituencies there. Good morning, Martin. What's the latest in your region as you count down to the opening of polls?
It's a very good morning to you, Sam Gituko from County 19. As you said, chilly morning here, but even the weather has not stopped IEBC and the security agents from meeting. What is happening here today at the Nyeri constituency, where I am, tallying center? This is the Nyeri National Polytechnic, where all the affairs Nyeri constituency will be taking place. Is that there is a meeting, and similar meetings are taking place across the 6 constituencies. Here we have the security teams, we have IEBC, we've got stakeholders, all the stakeholders involved in this election, and they're going to be looking or supervising as the IEBC starts to open the materials and actually get them to where they should be across this constituency. Now, Nyeri constituency has about 87,000 registered voters, but apart from Nyeri town, which is the 3rd most populous constituency in Nyeri, we've got Kieni, which is very expansive and has over 100,000 registered voters, leading in terms of the numbers. Then we've got Mathera, where of course there'll be a lot of focus, considering that the Kenya Kwanza deputy presidential candidate Rigathi Gachagua is from Mathera. He will be casting his vote there tomorrow, and so that is the 2nd most populous constituency in Nyeri. Then we've got Mokoroine, Othaya and Teto following. But now what I can say is that, as you can see, we have people coming in, and the people who are coming in here are people who are going to be taking part in this constituency. Nyeri constituency has actually been one of the constituencies where we've seen cases, slight cases of issues of violence. And I want to speak very briefly to the man in charge of the security of Nyeri sub-county or Nyeri constituency, who is the deputy county commissioner on issues security, on issues how prepared are they to ensure that the rights of every Nyeri constituency resident is protected and they have a right to vote. Very good morning to you. I understand that you're from a meeting. Maybe, sir, very briefly, you can first of all tell us, can every member of the public in Nyeri constituency exercise the democratic right tomorrow without fear?
Thank you very much, Martin. What I want to report is that we are really prepared to make sure that this election goes on peacefully. Everyone vote, go home, and wait for the result. We have had meetings, we have formed committees to make sure that we are peaceful. We have enhanced our intelligence gathering so that we will be even knowing if there is any place that may have chaos. But what I can report to people of Nyeri and of course Kenyans in general is that there will be no single chaos in Nyeri. We are really prepared. We have deployed police officers all over, and everybody, as you know that the work of GAO is to chair security committees. Everybody is alert. All GAO are alert, and we will make sure that everything goes on well and peacefully. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. The Deputy County Commissioner in charge of the Nyeri Sub-County expressing confidence that in Nyeri there will be no cases of violence. They are up to the task and they will ensure that every Kenyan within Nyeri constituency, Nyeri Town constituency, exercises their democratic right to vote. But like I said, Sam, and you said 6 constituencies within Nyeri. This is the first. It is it's actually within Nyeri Town, which was former provincial provincial administration headquarter. But from here, we're going to be crossing over to Madera, Kieni, Teto, Mukoroine, Othaya, to just get a feel of what it's like. But as I said earlier, what is happening now is that there's a stakeholders meeting, bringing together all the stakeholders, and we expect a bit later today the distribution of the election materials to the various centers across this particular constituency, and not only the constituency but the region. Back to you in studio. Sam from Nyeri County, I'm Martin Munene.
All right, thank you so much, Martin, coming to us live from county number 19, Nyeri County, that has 481,000 registered voters. And back here in studio, I want us to wind up this conversation. And Commissioner Masit, so there's this question about the secrecy of the ballot. There's been, during the campaign season, there's a lot of allegations that the national government administration officials, or the provincial administration, if you like, were being mobilized for some cause. How do you protect the secrecy of the ballot, especially at the polling station, so that you don't have people taking images for whatever use?
Sam, I want to say first, we work with stakeholders, and security team is one of our stakeholders. That's why we have at least 2 police officers in each and polling station to maintain law and order. So the issue, to me, it's an allocation. But at the polling station, we have put all that is necessary to ensure that the vote is secured. That's why we have allowed several people to be at that polling station, observers who are here included, media included, and even agents of all candidates. Our staff have taken oath of secrecy and also subscribed to the code of conduct on how to conduct themselves. And even those people we are dealing with, the stakeholders, they have an MOU with us. So I believe the secrecy of the vote is guarded. And remember, even voters, when they enter inside, they enter one by one. And one will go get the ballot papers individually and go to a voting booth, whereby one will secretly take whoever they want, fold the paper and take it. And those who cannot do it on themselves, they are assisted. And even before they are assisted, whoever is assisting them has to sign a form, which is their oath of secrecy form there, to show that whatever they are doing is doing in secrecy. So that all those have been taken care of. Okay. Yes.
All right, Bobby, what will you be doing in this election? I mean, it's the 3rd election.
And will you still give me a time to say something?
Okay, go ahead before.
Yes, before you finish with Poppy, I wanted to say I want to speak to voters.
Yeah.
Whether voters or non-voters. I want to say those who have registered, Kenyans generally, those who have registered to vote, please go vote. Go with your ID, original ID or valid passport to vote. And when you reach there, when you are through, just go home. The others who have not registered to vote, please stay at home. It's an holiday because we want to ensure peace. I want to speak also to other stakeholders, the media, observers, and anybody else. Whatever you see there, please report objectively.
Okay.
Report objectively. We have call toll-free numbers. If there is any incident, report. We have police officers at the polling station. Kindly report any incident. And we call also upon the security to do their work.
Okay.
What they are supposed to do. Those who are at the polling station, they are security official for that period. And finally, to IPC and all election officials, let's adhere to the law. Let's do free and fair election and ensure that whoever we announce is somebody who has won fairly based on the results from the polling station. Thank you very much.
Okay. You have called for objectivity. I hope what we've done here this morning is objective.
Yeah.
But, Bobby, the third election under the new constitution, looking back, from someone who drafted this constitution, what's your assessment and what will you be doing tomorrow and the days to come?
First, right on the heel of what Commissioner Masit was talking about, the secrecy, maintenance of secrecy, you have to remember that it's a grave issue. That's why it is outlined as an offence under the Election Offences Act of 2016. And I think she has given clarity as to how we have to ensure that that is maintained. And that's why even in the Constitution, as you're asking, it is a principle that elections in Kenya to be done through secret ballot. And so this being the third cycle of elections since Kenyans promulgated the Constitution of Kenya 2010, I think there are a number of things that we can say we sort of celebrate around this third cycle, and especially considering that the Constitution was birthed right out of the post-election violence of 2007 and early 2008. And the processes, the transition justice processes that emanated thereof. We go back to Kriegler's report and look at what that commission prescribed for us as Kenyans, to have constitutionally and legislatively in order to ensure we have free, fair, and credible elections. A lot of what was or came out of that commission's report is what we presently enjoy in the Constitution. But also we must recall the transformation and the change that has come in infusing public confidence, stakeholder confidence in the different institutions that manage elections. And most importantly is how we deal with disputes, and disputes emanating primarily from the presidential election results declaration. And the fact that we have the Supreme Court right now, in 2013 compared to 2007, when candidates and Kenyans did not have confidence in the judiciary and particularly the High Court as was constituted then. But we see the difference from the transformation in 2013 and in 2017. And I think this has also been a rallying call coming from different, especially social and cultural leaders. We had yesterday very many church leaders call and ask candidates to use the avenues and the parameters that we've put as ourselves as Kenyans in the Constitution and other laws. So if anyone has a dispute, Commissioner Masit has communicated about, even during the processes, the numbers to call, whether it's IBC, whether it's the police, whether it's human rights organizations. But above all, if there's any dispute emanating from the results, we have the judicial institutions, the election courts to go to. And I think that's what we can say has greatly transformed our elections. Right. The political end, we still have a lot to deal with. And that's why maybe as I conclude, I will mention that we saw in 2017, in as much as the disputes and around the presidential elections were prosecuted within the judicial system, we were not able to settle the political dispute until later on with a handshake. So I think these are issues that going forward we need to look into. I think in terms of the technical facilities, we are almost there. It's how we manage our politics and disputes thereof emanating from elections that we really need to work on.
You haven't told me what you'll be doing tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow I'll be voting here in Nairobi at Kilimani Primary. That's my center. And after that, I think I'll become a roving citizen. I hope I'll stay at home. I'll become a roving citizen and probably a roving commentator on the goings-on.
Enjoying the city when it's very calm.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Should I tell you to vote wisely?
I should. I hope I will.
Sorry. I wish I could, but thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Bobby Mkangi, constitutional lawyer, Commissioner Irene Masit from IEBC, Ambassador Koki Muli from Southeastern Kenya University, and of course a lot of experience watching and observing elections, and Marcus Agenga here from Election Observation Group, that is ELOG. Thank you all for making time for us. And as we come to the tail end, I just want to show you something that, remember, Commissioner told us here that we can tabulate, we can do whatever you want, but we cannot announce or declare, but you can use it in our reporting. So we'll be here, we'll be showing you who has voted for. These are the results so far. Everybody on the presidential ticket has scored 0 votes because none has voted. No vote has been counted, none has been tallied, none has been announced, none has been declared. The registered voters, again, 22.12 million registered voters. The votes cast, like I said, 0. The turnout is 0. So this will start to be tabulated as soon as we're able to get results from all the polling stations across the country and outside the country contained in Form 34A. We'll be sure to be as objective as possible, to be very thorough, to be very accurate in our processing of this, to be in a position to ensure that indeed we end up with the proper count. But of course, the final arbiter in this game or in this exercise is the IEBC. They are the ones that will be conducting the elections in terms of the official managing, in terms of counting, the tallying, the collation, the verification, and eventually the announcement and declaration of all the elections, all the 6 of them, from presidency down to the member of county assembly. Thank you so much for watching. We started at about 24 hours to the opening of polls. We are now at 20 hours and a few minutes, close to 50, actually more than 50 minutes to the polls. We'll continue here on Kenya's Choice. And of course, tomorrow morning, you'll be with a different team from 5 a.m. to be in a position to take you through the process of election on the 9th of August. My name is Sam Gituku. See you some other time. Bye for now.
Before her to see whether it is the person. He's asking the voter to display his hands to check for evidence of prior voting. He is placing his finger on the key device for identification. He's been positively identified, so he's asked to proceed to the next clerk, the clerk with the printed register of voters. He will call out the name loudly. Then the clerk will cross out the details of the voter on the register except the voter's number. Then he passes the ID to the next clerk and the voter moves to the next clerk where he'll now be issued with 2 ballot assembly. Notice the color of the ballot papers, white and green respectively. They'll be folded vertically once. It is stamped at the back by the clerk before it is issued to the voter. The voter proceeds to the next clerk where he is issued with another pair of ballot papers for member of county assembly and the senator elections. They will also be folded vertically once. And issued to the voter. The ID is also passed to the next clerk. A voter must be issued and receive 6 ballot papers, 1 for each of the 6 elections. receiving his last. He proceeds to the polling booth to mark the 6 ballots. There's a pen in the polling booth that he will use to mark. The booth has been placed in such a manner that as the PO, I'm able to see that he's not going to do anything fishy other than mark his ballot papers, but also allowing him his privacy to mark his ballots in secrecy. Now he proceeds to the booth, to the ballot boxes to cast. Starts with the presidential, white in color, goes into the box with a white lid. Proceeds to the member of National Assembly, green ballot paper with a box with green lid. Member of the County Assembly, badge with a badge. Proceeds to the Senate election, yellow, yellow. Proceeds to the county woman member, purple with purple. And proceeds to the governor election, blue with blue. He's then marked on his left small finger with indelible ink and is asked to leave the polling station. Thank you, mzee wa kupiga kura. Kwenda nyumbani, ngoje matokeo.